Don't
already
tell me.
been a little
That's how
while.
we get ants.
Yeah, especially with how much sugar it would give off.
All right, everybody, this is the June 18th membership meeting of FamiLAB. The agenda is in the
Announcements. channel.
announcements channel, thanks to Brian. So is the Google Meet, so you can always go there to join. All attendees who are speaking, please mute your speakers or microphones to avoid crosstalk. And then people in here try to avoid crosstalk because when one person's talking, they can't hear there, and so on and so forth. Head count, if we can, l.famlab.org/sign in, and then just select the monthly meeting or whatever it is on there, just so we can kind of get a head count. It's as much as I'm not making that important, that needs to be important. So I know I mentioned it on these meetings only, but even when you have events, when you hold events, having people do that would be fantastic as well. But anyway, moving on. So the financial update, we still don't have a solid number of the membership, mostly just because we've been working on other things. It's somewhere around 100. I think that's high, honestly. But the 100 includes like all special cases and things like that. It's low if it includes all those special cases and additional members. Like I think Ian is still considered a member because he helped build it or whatever. So things like that. There's additional ones, but I'm trying to get the numbers of so we can kind of more accurately. You all would know more accurately the financial side of it. So I'm going to start listing paying members soon. The P&L for May, we're in the positive.
Wow.
We're finally in the positive. Barely. It's 222. But it's obviously we did the right thing. We took the step here. We did the reset. Next month or this month is going to come out back into the negative because there's a few things that we need to rectify that had gotten missed, some financial stuff. So we're going to be most likely in the negative this month. It depends on where we're at.
Spoiler alert.
What?
Next month.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert for next month. Yes,
But
correct.
we're going to be very close to zero, at least compared to
I don't know.
historic.
I don't know yet. It depends on what happens when we talk to things like the insurance company. So yeah, we'll get back to that next month. But even if we are in a decent negative next month, I believe wholeheartedly that it's going to balance out because those are more yearly expenses that basically were just missed or whatever. One of the things, for instance, is we still haven't paid for the gas for the welder. So we got to kind of review that. That's one of the things myself and the board are going to be doing shortly. So yeah. So anyway, but we're positive this month, which is fantastic. Again, we went from averaging negative 700 a month to being in the positive at least 1 month. So first time in I think 2 years. So we're good.
I have a budget question.
Yeah.
And I don't know because I'm not an accountant, but I'm asking questions. Is there a way to make annual expenses like that amortize over 12 months rather than taking the single hit in 1 month so that you say, okay, every single month, these known annual expenses are X dollars per month?
Yes, and they are, but when there's extra payments because of fees, because of missed payments, that's where it actually piles
Okay.
up. So yeah, I guess it depends. Lily usually does it when she gives us the P&L. She does usually take those yearly ones and spread them out. So I'll have to talk to her about that. We'll probably do that just so that it's a more accurate number. That's a good point. But yeah, there will be additional on top of that for fees and whatnot.
Yeah, that way it looks better. Not looks better. Is more a realistic scenario rather than having 1 month. We were negative $3,000 this month.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So house cleaning. The AC in the FamiLAB is not working great. I barely think it's working at this point. It's struggling to stay at 80 during the day. Actually, it was struggling to stay at 82 during the day the other day. Today I came in, it was running and it was like 78. So I have a feeling it's actually probably running nonstop now. I think there's a fan issue, but I've talked to the landlord about it because that's his responsibility according to lease. So he put in a call with the AC guys, and we're just waiting to hear back on that. But in the meantime, when you're running the laser, well, especially when you're running the laser, it's probably a good idea to leave this door open so that just like we had before at the other location, so the AC here helps cool off the laser. And then it's very pertinent that we keep these doors closed. I found, especially this one, I'm going to try and get the fix for it this week. But this one likes to just pop open through pressure. You open that front door and close it, sometimes this pops open.
Should we get spring hinges for the doors?
There was a spring hinge on there. All that was left was the spring and keeping it from closing, so I ripped it out. I just got to replace that. There's a spring hinge on the other side, so that one works fine. The only other thing, those ones are fine. It's just that I've noticed quite a few times that people are walking through into the metal shop and then leaving that door open. And we just have to make sure that we're a little bit more diligent. I'll probably put more signs back up on the doors too, just to help remind people to keep the doors closed. But that's just a heads up. It's crappy in there when you're trying to run the lasers.
There are also inexpensive devices that will warn you when you've left the door open. They're like, beepers or alarms or something that are inexpensive that just use like the magnetic switches that are all self-contained. So we can maybe look at that too. That way, if people just forget, it'll beep at them incessantly until they correct their error.
That's not a bad idea.
Just have to be able to switch them off. Like, want those guys.
No, let it beep all the time.
No, I got you. That'd be so annoying hearing them. Beep. All right, workshops, open houses, etc. have been re-added to the calendar, and we're trying to push those more and more just because beating a dead horse here, but I'm just going to continue until there's nothing left but bones of that horse. So,
and then you get a new horse to beat?
Yes, and then get a new horse to beat. Justin restarted his learned woodworking once a month. 3D printing hangout is every Monday. So far, I'm keeping it that way, but I'm kind of thinking of switching it because when I was over there, Mondays didn't seem that it was very hit or miss. And then now it's kind of seems the same. Maybe Monday's not the best day. If I can get some feedback on that, that'd be
Or maybe every other week?
could be every other week, but even every other week might work. But yeah, give me feedback on that and the 3D printing room if you guys have any ideas or suggestions. Speaking of suggestions, we have a shit ton of suggestions for classes, workshops, and hangouts. If you have the time to hold one, but you don't know what to do, please let us know, and we'll give you the list.
We'll dump everything you need on your lap.
Yes, absolutely. Everything you need will be given to you. I, at least myself, if not somebody else that's done workshops before, will come and help you, at least for the first try or however long you need us. We just need more stuff on the calendar. Speaking of, when we get down to upcoming events, Brian does have another event. We'll wait till we get down there. Sorry, get the sidetrack.
It doesn't look like
No. What?
events.
Son of a! I forgot to update them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have right access, so I can't.
That's all right. It's not a big deal. Additional open house. This Saturday, I do believe somebody can check the calendar and verify for me. This Saturday, I believe it's from 1 to 3. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We're doing a secondary open house, kind of testing it out. If we could do 2 a month, either myself or Justin will be there to be the official host, but if we can get other members to come in, that'd be fantastic. I just feel like we're getting a lot of people showing up on Tuesdays, which is kind of funny because nobody showed up today. But pretty much every Tuesday, I mean new people. Like we obviously showed up. We're getting a lot of new people showing up on Tuesday. But no, we've been getting like interested people or people that had come to previous open house or whatever, have been showing up on Tuesdays. So I wanted to see if we could do more because that just kind of help add something to the calendar and add another open day. That's less targeted because the workshops are more targeted. So anyway, Justin and I are working on that. But if you want to take part, please show up. Let us know if you know for sure you're going to be there, then we can kind of help account for tours and whatnot. It's not on any official documentation yet. It is on the calendar, so it's accessible through the website. Didn't make a Eventbrite for it yet, and we haven't put it on any of the flyers or anything. So we're just kind of testing the waters there. All the official paperwork has been changed, including all the new board members. Also, Justin has been added to the bank account. Soon we should be adding Matthew as well, but at least now we have 2 people. And the bank found some major errors in our setup. We were under everything except for 501c3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did they fix it?
Okay.
We were there for like an hour.
Cool.
But anyway, all that's changed. So now on Sundays, it reflects the right people. So everything's good there. Going with that, something that was mentioned in the board meetings, I know not everybody lives in the board meetings. The board members, on Mike's suggestion, we have decided to do a quote-unquote retreat where we're going to go somewhere and have a list of shit that needs to get done, handled, scheduled, everything, and just not leave the room until it's done. So we will be doing that at the end of this month, and there will be some changes coming after that. For instance, we're going to devise a way to build an ops team and give some kind of incentives to the ops members to try and help motivate people to get more involved in the business workings of the organization. Because
Are you going to tell them that it's to groom the next generation of board members? Because that's not something we should do.
No, because in all honesty, the board shouldn't be doing what it's doing. Ops should. So if anything, it's grooming the next ops team, which we're building ops team. And the more that's spread out, I know there's the joke of board is a pain in the ass, very busy. That's not necessarily a rumor because it is both. But when it's spread out among ops people, it's going to be a lot better. And that's one of the reasons we're going through this and pushing to actually build an ops team. So if you guys have any opinions or suggestions or options on what kind of incentives, because we can always say, yeah, you get a free membership, but that's not.
Storage space.
There you go. Storage space is a good one. I'm actually realizing that I missed the storage space as well lately. But storage space would be one. Free membership, maybe a gift card to your favorite hobby shop. But the way it's going to work so far, obviously we're gonna it's still in the building process, but so far the plan is there's going to be a list on Trello. You're going to have an account on Trello where you can sign in and have tasks assigned to you. You have to complete those tasks, and we're going to be running reports and everything, so that if you don't complete those tasks, you don't get that reward. So it all depends on what you do, what you can do, and whatnot. We'll obviously work with you on the task. We're not just going to say, hey, this person is going to change AC even though they're change AC filters even though they're free audience. I mean, that's what's up.
What about the idea I told you earlier? Is that okay?
It's not going to pass, but
Okay. The idea is if you do enough tasks, you can pick a board member and put pour slime on their head.
like old school Nickelodeon
Yeah,
timing.
yeah.
How about we pick a board member and they get a hug for 20 seconds?
Jesus.
Full on contact.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I
Or
think
hug a board member of your choice.
I feel happy that I'm appreciated, but at the same
I
time,
choose Adam.
I have a bubble that I just.
Can I hug you?
No.
First
so-
they put you in the slime so that you've got an insulating barrier barrier before somebody hugs you.
There you go, that might be better. All right, so, anyway, that's something to look out for after the retreat. We'll be going over that, pushing a lot of that stuff out. We're gonna probably also, if we get to it, it's not highest priority, but if we get to it, we're gonna be, pushing, some changes to the bylaws, which obviously need to be voted on by the board or by the membership. So we'll go through that whole process just like normal. I don't think there are gonna be any changes anybody's really gonna reject. Just do things like most likely take out the term limits and things like that, so.
I
And
would,
other operational
I
things.
would recommend keeping it though at the 2-year terms, because that was intentional by a previous board to prevent.
But it
burnout.
didn't do anything. So what happens, the reason I say to take it out is because, yes, the term limit is there, but it also says that the person can continue if nobody else steps up. And that's the problem, is that nobody's stepping up. So they just continue burned out anyway. That's what happened the last 2 years at least.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, whether it's there or not, it doesn't really have any effect other than it keeps people who have previously been board to continue as board officially. And that doesn't make any sense to me. But again, it's going to be voted on up for debate. It's going to be presented to you guys first, if we even get to that one. It will be presented to you guys first, and then discussion, and then voting, and all that. So we'll have time for those opinions and suggestions as well, changes, whatnot. But things like the camera policy, for instance, it no longer applies because our camera setup is different, especially the Fanduino part. Because the Fanduino part says that only the one lobby camera, whereas this is not the case anymore. So things like that, policies and things are going to be updated and pushed out to the membership. So anyway, moving on, membership numbers. This is the same thing that was on there before. They're continuing to increase. We're in the green now. That's not just because we moved. We lost a handful of members, and we gained more back. We didn't lose them necessarily because of the move. Only one I don't know why they left, but the rest just left because they either moved or whatever. So those were normal losses to begin with. But we gained a bunch back, and because the rate went up as well, they're paying a higher rate as well. We also had other people increase their rate. So point is, membership numbers are going up because of what we're doing. So we need to continue what we're doing, and that's the workshops and hangouts and just being awesome about things like I'll get to you in a second. The open house was amazing. It really didn't cost us that much, and we got a couple membership signups because of it.
Open house, you mean the grand reopening?
With that?
By open house, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, grand reopening, yes.
Okay.
So things like that is things that we have to continue. Something like Maker Faire, what we did basically for the grand reopening, we should be doing for Maker Faire as well, or at least similar, and then being there and showing a presence. That's just going to get us even more signups. November.
When is, November?
What's up, Mike?
I want to hop back to the board retreat / bylaws thing real quick. I think in the new bylaws or in some kind of form, the board should review all of the bylaws on an annual basis. Just read them through in a meeting and make sure all of it still makes sense, because certain things, like you said, we don't have anymore or don't do anymore, but they've been in there for 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And a quick read through, maybe 3 months before the annual meeting or something, beginning of the year, would help alleviate some of the legacy language in there, without making massive changes all at once. You just do it year by year.
Right, and that's a good point, because things like the voting process, for instance, while that doesn't necessarily need to be in the bylaws, but the fact that it's in the bylaws and that it's written out a certain way, we should have followed that. But if you look at, we didn't have enough members to vote in.
Yeah.
There was no clause for that, so that kind of thing might need to be added if we keep those in.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to get too stuck on the bylaws thing, because that may be a next year thing. That may be something that we look into next year. Right now, we have a bit bigger things on our plate. And
Yeah, completely understand. I was just, it's kind of, it's like, we probably should have said it, so we review it
Yeah.
every year,
yeah,
not just when it becomes an issue.
yeah, I agree. I think the idea is that it's bylaws are supposed to just, from my understanding, they're supposed to be a bit more generic anyway, and then policies are based on the bylaws. So like, for instance, the voting, that's why I said the voting really shouldn't be in there. I've never
Yeah.
seen that in anybody's bylaws
Yeah,
before.
there were reasons why
That's
we
more of a
did certain
policy.
things at certain times,
Right.
but that's a longer story.
All right, so anyway, point is, what we're doing is working. It's obvious that it's working. If we do it more, I think it's gonna work better. But if we can at least continue this momentum, we're gonna just see that green go up, and then we'll be able to afford more things at the lab, like tools and, you know, events and whatnot, so.
Maybe a sign.
So that's another thing we're gonna talk about at the retreat is find a way to either get people motivated to help make the sign or something. There was an idea of having a contest for the vinyl layout of the window. But honestly, any kind of input at this point would be nice. And any kind of help would be nice. So
Where can we find parameters for that, like size, material?
basically measure it.
Like, can we use up our entire window space?
Yeah, we can use the entire window
on
space.
the roof,
We can use the
Stuff like
entire window space.
perimeters like that.
And so, yeah, we can use the entire window space. We do have to have it approved by the landlord, but as long as it's tasteful, he's not gonna care. As for the sign up above the overhang, that we have a space the county or the city limits you to about 4 foot by 8 foot. So basically a sheet of plywood. We don't necessarily need to have it that big, but it's,
Do we have
the area that
electricity
we
if we wanted lights?
Mike would be happy to run electricity over there for us.
Would you know, Mike?
So sorry, I haven't heard much about this yet, but like you're saying that we can do something besides just a vinyl print, because that's my job. Is I'm a sign maker for a production company, so I could potentially make like a channel letter sign or something, maybe.
So the sign, when you look at the front of the building, we have the overhang that comes out in front of the doors above the overhang. So if you look at how other people's signs are, you can kind of see that area. So we have that area up there. It's basically, like I said, a 4 by 8 area. We might actually have 2 because this is technically 2 suites, but one in the middle would be fine, I think. But yeah, basically up to 4 by 8. And so yeah, I think we should get together and get some ideas rolling and see. I would love something that lights up.
One thing semi-related is we have 2 doors.
Mhm.
We have the door we use, and we have the door that's not tinted that everybody thinks we should be using.
Mhm.
Have you noticed that?
I haven't seen anybody try and go through it, honestly, other than a
It
couple
had-
people tried to exit out of it.
It happens a lot when it's dark. Because you
Yeah,
can
I mean, we
see
could put
in-
exit only on the outside of it.
Yeah, or darken this door somehow.
Yeah, that's, we've talked about that a bunch of times in Slack, and it really, just like everything else, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to sound like a dick, but we need other people to help us
We
with
need
it.
bureaucracy.
Yeah,
Can you make me big screen? Or do I automatically go big when I talk?
I think you go big when you talk. Do it again.
Hello?
Sing for us.
Hi. Just showing the outside so we have an idea of what's going on. Everyone else has like a standard like plywood sign. Not plywood, but you know, other materials, but I don't know if that limits us at all.
No, it shouldn't, but I mean, the key is we would have to design it, get all the parameters ready. It doesn't have to be like a CAD drawing or anything, but a basic design, and then tell the landlord about it, and he'll approve it or not. So, just because he has to prove it, and then there's city regulations that he knows of that we would have to follow, but, honestly, it didn't sound like there's really any regulations other than, the size, which is, from my understanding, that's what it was.
And tastefulness.
Yeah, and tastefulness, obviously, we don't
So,
wanna,
so we can have a 4x16 sign since we have 2 suites.
see, that's what I was wondering, I don't think so.
Well, we have 2 4x4 signs. Let's push them together.
So
Yeah,
Prima,
I don't think so. I think you probably, if you're gonna do that, you might have to have it in the middles.
Kind of joking.
We don't want this. on.
I mentioned that, I think as you were walking out though, I was like, we have 2 suites though, so, I mean, you could do like FamiLAB makerspace, I don't know, but
That's a lot of text.
it's a lot of work. All right, anyway, yes, so we should, get together, maybe, mention something in the Slack channels in general, just kind of reach out there and say, hey, does anybody want to help me design the sign, or, you know, so on and so forth, and we can come up with something.
We haven't closed it ever since
Was it
yesterday's
open?
meeting.
Look at me. If we had had one of those alarms in the door.
Okay, so where did I leave off? Oh, engagement, yeah. So, so yeah, I think that's really, I mean, we can move on. Sponsors, thank you again, our sponsors, LW Wham Bam, Rebel Point, are the latest ones. Rebel Point, I finally did the blog post. They knew it was gonna be late. They were fine with that. They reviewed it, they were good. But the blog post did go up. I haven't really done much else with it. The interest seemed like it was there, but I think availability of the members wasn't, because we only have so many really active, interactive members at the time, or active members. So I think it's just kind of like a bad time for us to do something that detailed, of a workshop, and because you basically have to start over every time you have the workshop, start from scratch, because now a new person showed up, they need to learn how to use it, and it's very, it's not super easy to get started on. So anyway, it's here. We decided not to lock it up. If it disappears, membership loses it. It is what it is. If it gets broken, membership loses it. We've filled our contract with Rebel Point, so
Now we can make blog posts without review.
yeah, we can make blog posts without review. They weren't really
Like
picky
social
about the
media
review.
post?
What's that?
Social media posts too?
They weren't really, they didn't really care that much about the social media posts anyway, to tell you the truth, as long as it wasn't like a full-on kind of review. That was just more, they wanted to make sure that it was factual more than anything. Like if we talked about specs of the unit, and make sure it was accurate. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, we fulfilled the contract, so it's gonna be here now for anybody to use. It needs to find a forever home because right now it's just sitting next to the streaming computer. But I mean, if that's where it stays, it's where it stays. We did have a member working with it yesterday. I think it was the same day I was talking about the signs, terrible with names.
Steven?
Steven, I believe, he was the one playing with it yesterday. Yeah. But yeah, so we haven't heard much or reached out to LW or Wham Bam again yet. And we haven't really reached out to really any vendors at this time. We have some legal paperwork that we have to finish getting in order before we start asking for stuff. So that's a reminder that if you're thinking of asking a vendor for any kind of donation or anything, make sure you reach out to the board members first, because they are the only ones officially able to speak for the membership at this time. We can grant that to other people, but there's a process that you have to go through as well. There's actually paperwork that you have to send them to fill out and whatnot. So don't just go asking anybody for anything, but get with us, and then we can. It's not like we want to go ask. We don't want that extra work. We just want to make sure you are representing us in the legal and professional manner. That's all.
And you'll have 5 people showing up for the same thing.
Right, exactly. That's another thing, which we may get tracking on that later because I saw that previously there was a big spreadsheet of, I saw old data, there was a big spreadsheet of a bunch of places we asked who reached out, the status. I thought that was kind of neat. So we might do something similar to that, but most likely it's going to be done through Trello. So. Social media, same as always, need more stuff. I did see some stuff recently posted, and I haven't been able to keep up on social media. I think Kristen was taking a break from it for a little bit too. So we do need people to help us with that. If you want to help, let us know. Yeah, we'll get stuff posted eventually, as long as you share it on I Made This or in some of the other channels. I Made This is the best because that when I know it's one channel I can send the social media people to make sure that they're getting stuff that's being made rather than having to be in every single channel.
I will definitely post work of stuff put together when this is done.
That would be awesome.
And please add descriptions of what it
Yes.
is, so that when we do post it on socials, because I have zero knowledge of printing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
There will be pictures in there right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I
the
can just,
write-ups.
like, copy and paste that to the socials.
And
Right.
It might not be copy and paste ready, but it'll be enough content that you can reword it for your
Yeah.
section.
Thank you.
At least at the very minimum, a description of what it is, what it's made of, things like that, because that's a lot of questions we get too. And we want to make sure we're responding to questions on social media, not just posting stuff. So if we get a lot of questions of what is that, how did you make that, whatever, then also if you want, and you do have Facebook, I know this is only for a select few, if you want to be tagged in it, let us know who to tag. So that way, if somebody asks questions and you want to respond, you'll. But that's another pretty important one because I've had a lot of people, not a lot, but a few people that came in, found us through like a simple Google search, and then they looked at Facebook to see if we're active, they looked at the website to see if we're active. So those kind of things need to be kept up on. So yeah, the more information we get, the more we can put out there. Upcoming events, I'm just gonna kind of skip that today because I didn't update it. It's on the calendar, obviously. Like I said, there's another open house this weekend on Saturday. There is a 3D printing on Monday. Brian has
Model building the following Saturday.
the following Saturday. Okay. Model building, that will be on the calendar here shortly, probably an Eventbrite if you want.
No Eventbrite, open to the public, suggested donation.
And that's all I can think of right now. Well, Justin's woodworking, I don't think it's gonna happen. It might happen before the next membership meeting, but it's not gonna happen until next month, I believe. Good question?
So I just submitted an event request. I'm gonna go ahead and just commit the last Wednesday of the month, art hangout.
Nice.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll start hosting that. And
Sweet.
so I just submitted at least for this month, so it'll be next week Wednesday. Art hangout, BYO supplies, I'll have basic painting supplies, creative members, donation requested, and we're on.
Idea. You're making your post. Put in a picture of that stained glass thing.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll start committing to that as far as like a regular hangout,
Okay.
last Wednesday of the month
Cool.
in the evening.
We'll get it on the calendar. Let's see. Give you an example, not to get off topic and to jump around, but the ops team thing, the calendar is a big thing. The calendar, it's not hard. It's super easy to do. Even creating an Eventbrite, if you want to do that, it's super easy to do. I can talk you through it. I can write up a how-to. It's not something the board needs to be doing. It's something that any ops member can get access to that calendar and do and put up there. So that's a good example of something that that ops, I just want to throw that out there, that the ops will have on their task list.
I will get your thing on the calendar tonight when I put my thing on there.
Oh, thanks, that's fine.
Awesome, thank you, Brian. All right, so unless anybody has any other questions about all those, we'll move into the open discussion. Any questions about anything we went over? Anybody online have any questions on anything we went over? just talk, because I can't see if you're raising your hand.
I see nobody raising their,
No hands?
There's something in the chat window.
no, nothing significant,
Okay.
it was mostly me.
Okay. Okay.
Sign me up
So-
for, sign me up for how to post to the calendar and do Eventbrite stuff.
Okay, will do.
Tutorial.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
All right, so open discussion, show and tell, members want to have anything to discuss? I think Brian might have a show and tell.
No. It's
I see
Raspberry
stuff
Pi
in your
a
hands.
case.
That's awesome. 3D printed ABS Raspberry Pi case
Yeah, I
and
grabbed
FamiLAB
a
glue.
cheap bit, I grabbed a case of printables that didn't need screws. And
Oh,
I
awesome.
hit print, and then I put the pie in it, and I clicked it together.
So I was trying to segue into why you made that, but you missed the hint.
Once the micro USB to micro USB cables come in, we're gonna have Octoprint on the printers, on the 3D printers. So no more lugging SD cards around by foot. You'll be able to just send everything over a web interface.
No more disappearing SD cards.
Yes.
And if you take the SD card out of the Octopi, it will kick you in the face, because that's
Yep.
just.
And if the Duocracy wants to Duocracy its thing, once these are installed, somebody else can buy Raspberry Pi cameras and hook them up to these. And we'll have cameras attached to the printers, so you can monitor it from not right in front of it.
Right, from the classroom.
We could probably even forward those to 3D Printing Chan or some other printing monitoring channel.
We can do the image. I'm not streaming. I think there's a.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
like we can take the
Yeah, we'll
occasional
see.
snapshot so you can see if your print's done or
Yeah.
if it failed or
Absolutely.
pretty much a.
Isn't there already a camera in there?
Yeah,
Yes,
but you
these
can't
will be
see
pointed
so far
straight
back.
at- Yeah,
More of a
this-
security camera than anything.
yes, these will be pointed straight at the printer. itself.
Yeah, these, like, I don't know if you've ever seen an Octopi setup. Usually there's like
I
a
don't know
little,
what that is, so.
Octopi
It's
is
the
like,
thing that does the time lapses.
well, you take Raspberry Pi, you take a
I don't know what
Raspberry
that
Pi
is
and it,
either, so don't worry about it.
you take a small computer
All right.
and it runs, you take a small computer and it
What's a
basically
computer?
runs the 3D printer for you. But then if you attach a camera to it, you can see the print. So if it's sending images like Famduino, you can go into like the 3D printing or 3D printing status or some channel, and it'll show images of what's printing at the time, which would be really cool.
Yep. Which, yeah. But it'll also mean you don't have to carry SD cards. You can just open
Yeah.
it up on your browser, drop your file, and hit print.
That's one of the best things about it.
Right from home, you can start the print.
No, not
No,
from,
I mean, you still have to load in your filament.
Oh,
yeah, you could do it, you can just do it from,
From a web
any of the
interface.
computers or from here, but, in the classroom, but it's not,
We-
they're
we
not
are-
gonna have access outside.
Yeah, we might enable camera access outside, but actual printer control not. We
okay,
won't.
okay.
And-
It could be done, but we won't do it.
Right.
Right,
Okay,
I
okay,
mean.
okay.
Yeah, if
we
somebody
might-
accidentally stopping your print halfway through 24-hour
Hmm.
prints.
We might set it up so that ops can get access remotely, so that if they see a print's failing or something's gone wrong, they can stop it.
For a
remotely.
number of reasons, ops has like VPN access. Well, not ops, but board has VPN access, so,
Yeah.
worst case, ops ask a board member to remote in and turn it off.
Yeah.
Or a Kyle, because Kyle's awesome too. All right, so, anybody else? Anything to talk about? I got some cool wood turning tools. I've been doing some wood turning. That's fun. Got some wood blocks too.
As the
from,
wood
from eBay.
turns.
I blog posted something and I made this. I did a really long 3D print that I didn't draw, but I printed it and my printer didn't die
Yeah.
or burn down my house.
That was on the Voron, right?
or melt the nozzle.
That's true.
All right, we don't have any new members to introduce or anything, right? I think Steven, I don't know if he's been to a 3D, if he's been to a meeting yet or not.
He's in a meeting right now.
Yeah, I haven't really been to one of these. Like, I think I've met everybody here except for whoever's in the green shirt.
Kristen.
I'm Steve.
Do you
But,
you want to introduce yourself real quick? Tell us why you joined, what you're interested in, and kind of projects you want to make.
sure, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten a lot more into engineering sciences and stuff. Like I have a BFA in sculpture, so like I love making stuff, but now I've gotten into more technical things because through my job I have access to all these different CNC machines and stuff. So once I found you guys and you had like metal lathes and stuff that I've never used before, I'm like, oh, this might actually help me grow a little. So I just want to learn as much as I can and make some cool stuff, but as far as like ambitious projects go, like I do really want to make kind of like an electromagnetic uh forge to be able to melt metal and like do some small castings. Maybe even make like a underwater submarine, or if I'm feeling really ambitious, big drone cycle one day.
Nice.
We'll see. But yeah.
Cool. Anybody have any questions for him?
For art
Awesome.
night, if you feel like coming out to an art night that we're gonna start hosting, feel free to bring sculpture stuff. I'm bringing basic paint supplies, but you know, any type of art mediums, welcome.
Does
Alright,
it's count as
cool.
art?
Yeah, I haven't really heard of the art night yet.
I
I
just
was
decided to start hosting it as of 10 minutes
oh
ago, so.
oh okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Speaking of cool stuff, Opportunity wants to say thank you to Adam and to FamiLAB for showing up at the Family Cafe and doing the presentation with us on bottle brick sculpting and structure building, creative construction, and for doing all the 3D printing for the miniature bricks. I think it really helped the kids to think through, and the parents too, to think through their design before they got down and built it with the life-size Lego interlocking style bottle bricks that we're using. So thank you for that. Super awesome outreach effort to a super awesome population of people that really appreciated it. And brainstorming on the fact that that might be a lot of fun for Maker Faire as well, as a FamiLAB and Opportunity cooperative activity for the kids. So
Yeah, that's something. You're welcome. By the way, it was awesome, and thanks for having us there. It was great. It was a great way of networking too, and kind of showing off how FamiLAB can help with the community and other nonprofits. But that is segue into the Maker Faire thing. That's an awesome opportunity to do something interactive at Maker Faire, and that's one of the things we really want to get across this year at Maker Faire is we would like at least one or two, hopefully two, at a minimum, interactive things at Maker Faire, so that we can not only get people to the booth, but get them to stand there and listen. Because just handing them a flyer and talking about what we do and what we are, it works. People sit there and listen. They'll take the flyer. They'll interact, but it's repetitive and just repetitive. It's very boring. It knocks your breath out, or not breath, but your voice out. And you can ask me and Brian were there last year, and it was just same thing. You're saying the same stuff over and over and over again. If you have something interactive, it might spark more conversation of how it was made or anything like that. So we will be asking soon, ish. No, probably not soon, but we will be asking for helpers in Maker Faire. Volunteers to help us set up and break down all that kind of stuff. Helpers to be there, they hand out the flyers, but if we can get something you made that you want to show off, something interactive, the lightsabers are always a favorite. There's always people battling with the lightsabers. Even simple stuff like that, it's something we need for Maker Faire.
If at the Justin's wood shop workshop last week, he had cut out with a wood CNC a puzzle box thing.
Mhm.
Something simple like that, if we have a whole bunch cut out ahead of time and
And
just
people
have
can
people
build them.
assemble them.
Yeah.
That's like a 1 minute or less thing. We
Yeah.
have the video of how the CNC works. a video on a laptop or something and say, hey, watch how this was actually cut out. Now you can assemble your own box.
That's a
Come
good
join
idea.
us to make more.
It's a very good idea.
That type of,
Do me a favor and send that idea to me. Yeah, just to make sure. Because I don't want to lose that. That's a good idea, but not to be the negative Nancy about that, but ideas are great. We also need people to help. So that's the biggest thing. Is we tend to get a lot more ideas than we do help. But even if it's something as simple as just showing up and being there to make sure people don't hurt themselves, or hand them a flyer or something like that, we just need that help during Maker Fair. So just keep that in mind. It's in November. I think around the 11th. You know, Mike?
I don't know exactly, I'm sorry. It's like the second weekend in November.
Yeah. So so just make sure it's on your calendar so you can probably be ready and reminders ahead of time if you want to take part or do something. Anyway, anything else?
Go team.
All right, we'll go ahead and conclude the meeting at this point. Thank you for everybody that showed up online and in person. Anybody that's watching afterwards. And yeah, thank you. Anything else?
Thanks.